What they do, YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to answer, I think, the number one question that I get on my channel, which is how did I get back to Facebook after being banned in early 2020? So this video is the answer, exactly how I'm doing that till this day, running multiple Shopify stores, managing multiple Facebook accounts. The entire thing is in this video. So make sure you watch until the end, and if you find this helpful and valuable, make sure you drop a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right, without further ado, let's dive straight into it. All right, so let me quickly prove you that what I'm going to show you actually works. So this is my personal private account over here on Facebook. You can see here's my name, Alexander Polichchuk. So let's refresh that for you to see that I cannot run ads whatsoever, not in my personal business manager, not the actual business manager. As you can see, you are restricted from advertising. Now let me show you the window over here from my right. So this is, let's refresh that again if you want to show you that this is legit. The reason why it looks weird a little bit, this is because this is a remote desktop. So this is kind of a computer inside a computer. I will kind of touch about it later on in the presentation. But as you can see, I am running ads, and what I'm telling you actually works. And this is answering the question that I'm getting asked so many times: how do you get back to Facebook after it got disabled and banned in early 2020? Alright, so let's go over exactly what do we need to be able successfully to log into a different Facebook account and to be able to run ads. So this is a list of things that we need to be able to actually pull it off successfully. So the first thing is going to be a Kamatera account. Now, for those that are not familiar with Kamatera, this is basically a remote desktop service that is essentially very similar to Amazon AWS, but this one is specifically for remote desktop. So I personally use Kamatera as a remote desktop solution because this is just what I need. I don't need all the other stuff that Amazon AWS actually offers, and it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap and it's super easy to manage, like multiple accounts, everything from one place. I will make sure to somewhere link a video about like exactly step by step how to go ahead and create a Kamatera account from scratch, and I will also leave you a link that will give you 30 days free trial using Kamatera. Now basically it's like a risk-free method, so it means that if that doesn't work, you don't pay anything to Kamatera, and overall the payment for Kamatera is like super cheap. If you're going to follow the strategy like how I open Kamatera account, you're going to save yourself a lot of money because they have like different options. I will just go more in depth in that video that explains about how to create the server. The next thing that we need is a new credit card. So whether it's just going to your bank and asking for a new credit card, another thing that you can do if you're like myself, I'm using a TransferWise. Now they call themselves Wise. So if you will log into their app, they actually have an option that they can give you a virtual credit card. It means that you can switch up as many times as you want the actual card number, and you don't really need to physically have it on you. So you can go ahead and create a brand new card even if your physical debit card was suspended somehow on Facebook. So that's, I think, very good solution. Again, if you don't have this option, just go to your bank and ask for a new card. Now next thing that we need is a new Shopify account. This is pretty like obvious. I know that you can like change the domain and like change the store name and stuff like that, but I do recommend you to create a separate Shopify account just to like be 100% sure that nothing is going to link back to your original account that was suspended. Next thing that we need is a new domain. Now a new domain is like really straightforward. You don't want to link your ad to the same place because then Facebook will just know that this is the same person. Now you're going already to have a new Shopify account and you're probably going to have a new store name, so go ahead and just purchase a new domain for like 10 bucks, 14 bucks. Now the reason why we do all those things is that we want to make sure that Facebook doesn't have a clue that this is the same person running ads or using their platform to advertise products. This is why we use a remote desktop. Many people ask me, why can't I use just like a regular VPN? And the reason for that is because even if you use a different IP address of your internet, this is not enough. Simple way to explain you that is when you go to Facebook, okay, they install different cookies inside your computer, your email inbox, all those things. So they basically know exactly from which device you are logging in. And if you're going to use the same device to log in again, there is a very high chance that you're going to get suspended again. Alright, let's move on to the next part, which is how to get a new Facebook account. Now, as I probably said at the beginning, that I'm not going to sell you some BS solutions or like, underground things. I'm going to show you legit ways and offer you legit solutions to go ahead and get yourself a new Facebook account. So the most obvious and first place that I would go will be family and friends. You have to have probably at least 1-2 people that are close enough to you to trust you with their Facebook account that you will be able to get back on Facebook and start running ads again. Now, you're not going to affect in any way their personal profile unless they actually use their Facebook account to run ads for their own business. Then you're not basically risking anything. They're not going to see any difference in their personal use on Facebook if they're going to give you access to their business manager. This is everything runs on the back end. So again, make sure you explain that to them, because most people will kind of be afraid to give you their Facebook because they're afraid to get banned or something like that. So make sure you explain that to them, and it's going just to make your life easier to get them to say yes. Next thing, this is one of my favorites, is offering partnerships. So if you, let's say like myself, or you have some skills in Shopify dropshipping, there are so many different people that I meet every single day that they basically just want to get into the business, but they don't have the skills. They don't know where to go. They're going and purchasing like very expensive courses, or they're making mistakes on Facebook. And Facebook nowadays, all of us know that this is super expensive. And I've seen people spending thousands of dollars not getting any sales, any results at all, which really blew my mind. And you can just offer for those people, hey man, look, I already like build a store that generate this and this amount of revenue. I have experience. I know where to go. I like took a lot of courses, and I can just go ahead and make your life easier by doing everything for you, setting up the store, setting up the ads, doing all the research, mainly doing everything like DIY, do it for you stuff. And you just going to split the profit. It's super simple, and this way it's going to allow you to also not having like one Facebook account. And this is how I have like multiple. I offer partnerships to people that are happy to go ahead and partner up with me because they know that I have the skills. And I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook, and the first year that I started Shopify dropshipping was my worst year almost in my life. I really did some bad mistakes at the beginning, and I got myself in debt because of that. So what I'm trying to say is that you can save a lot of wasted money for people that don't understand what to do, and just help them out and be able to just partner up with them and get some share of the profit. All right, the second two options, this is something that I don't really recommend, but I know this is like an available option. I don't use them, and I probably won't use them ever. So this is buying accounts. Now the reason why I don't want to like buy accounts, because you don't know who this account is. You're probably going to get stuck when Facebook will require from you ID to verify. So this is kind of like a gray area of Facebook that I personally don't like, and I don't want to get into. I prefer having legit Facebook accounts that I know that if I'm finding a winning product, I can scale that massively without worrying that Facebook banning me and stuff like that. Yes, there is a risk that in any account that you're going to get banned, but it's not high as just buying these like gray accounts that you don't know to who that belongs to, and you don't know what's the history on that account. The last option that you have is renting out from a marketing agency. Now this is essentially very similar to partnership. So you just rent out the Facebook account from a professional agency, and you just pay them a percentage of the ad spend. Now I again don't really like that, because they're going to charge you a percentage based on your ad spend. So it means that if you're not making any money, okay, you're not making any profit, you're still going to pay them this percentage of the fee. So this is why I do recommend, instead, if you can find a partnership, or just again go with the first option, it's going to be much better for you. If you're doing partnership with someone, if you're not making profit, you don't pay anything. So this is in my opinion much better to go ahead and get yourself a new Facebook account. Alright, so what is the setup process? Let's say you found an account, you sign up for your 30 days trial for Kamatera, you are good to go, you want to start. What do you do next? So the first thing that you need to do is you want to make sure that you actually do this process together with the Facebook account owner, because they're going to ask you to verify all the details, whether it's with email or SMS. So you will have to go this simple verification process. Another thing that I would recommend is that if the person has a two-factor authentication on their account, ask them to turn it off, because it's just going to make your life harder down the road, because it's going to ask you to authenticate it with an SMS or authenticator app. So just go ahead and make sure that this is turned off. And lastly is, do not start running ads at this point. Just do not do that. You're going to ruin everything if you're not going to follow the warm-up process that I'm going to talk about in just a sec. So just before we go over to the warm-up process, I want to kind of give you the two differences between two different accounts. And this is again from my experience that I got some accounts that got suspended because I didn't have this warm-up process, that I didn't know what exactly am I doing. So two different accounts that we have is, the first one is a season account. This is an account that has already used the business manager, ran ads in the past. So whether it's for, I don't know, a local business that they tried, or they tried themselves drop shipping and didn't work. But what I'm saying is that they already used Facebook advertising platform. They already have a business manager. They have an ad account. So it means that they already used Facebook ads. Now, the second option, which is a new account, this is a fresh new account that, let's say your spouse just gave you their account. She or he never ran ads before. So basically, I mean, you will have to create a business manager and do all this process. And this process is going to be overall slower than the first one. Alright, so let's go over the warm-up process for a seasoned account, which is, this one is going to be pretty easy. It's not going to take you too much time. Over here, I'm kind of mentioning that it takes around 3 weeks. You can do that under 3 weeks. You can do it around 2 weeks. But if you want to be super careful and you have the time, you have the patience, I would suggest you to go up to 3 weeks. So the first week, what do you actually want to go ahead and do? You want to make sure that after you do the setup process, that you log it into the Facebook account, you go over the process of the verification. You want to start just acting like a user. You want to log in at least once a day to the account and just scroll to the feed. You can just like a little bit, like put some comments if that's okay with the account's owner, and just make sure that you're acting like a real person, that basically you want Facebook to think that, okay, like this person just uses his Facebook account also on this computer, on this IP address. So do that at least once a day, 10 to 15 up to 30 minutes per day at least. Just scroll to the feed and act like a regular user. Now the second week, basically all you need to do is that you can do that in week 2, or you can do that at the end of week 1, is you want to start creating like your Facebook page, creating the pixel, all those like regular stuff that you basically do to connect Facebook. And I would suggest you to, like, you know, after you do everything, start with a PPE campaign. Don't start immediately with a conversion purchase campaign. PPE is the least risky campaign for Facebook. So this is why it's going to be a very good suggestion for you to start with a PPE campaign. And this is what I do as well. And week number 3, which can be again around like week number 2, what you can do is you can actually start running just regular conversion campaigns as you would do in your own Facebook account. But I would recommend you to just keep it under $100. I usually start with $50 up to $100 per day in ad spend. Try not to go over that at the first week. Even if you start with 50 and you want to increase the budget, try not going over $100. And from that point, you should be like good. After like week number 2, number 3, you should be good. You will be able just to start scaling and those kind of things. And you should not be worrying about getting suspended or anything like that, or getting locked out of the Facebook account. If you follow these steps, you're pretty much secure at this point, and you can just start using everything as normal. Alright, now the new account warm-up process. This one is a little bit longer, but be a little patient and make sure you follow the steps. So over here is basically week 1 and 2. I'm still not going to create a business manager and nothing. I'm just going to start scrolling through the feed and just acting as a user at the first 2 weeks. And you want to make sure you do that consistently. You're not skipping like 2 days or every 4 days and stuff like that. Every single day, log in and use Facebook. I mean, if you do have a personal Facebook account, whether it's suspended or not, but you use it for a personal use, you probably log in at least once a day. So you want to make sure you do that as well. So around the end of like week 2, what you can do is you can start like creating the business manager, the Facebook page. But this is a big but. What you have to do is you want to make sure that no matter what, you create the business manager, or you create yourself. If you have like physical access to the person, create from their device, the device that they use like all the time. You create the business manager and the Facebook page from that device. So if they have a laptop or a mobile phone, ask them to create the business manager and the Facebook page from their own account. So if they do have a laptop, it's going to be just easier. So just tell them to log in from their IP and just go ahead and create a business manager. And if you do have like the physical option to do that for them, just go ahead and create one for them, but make sure that you use their IP, their laptop, their device. So Facebook knows for 100% that this is the person that he went and he created the business manager and Facebook page. Now, I I didn't do that one time and it got my account to just get suspended immediately. So the logic behind it is super simple. Imagine yourself, Facebook see that you log in from your new IP address, and then all of a sudden you create a business manager and you start running ads. So this is like fishy, this is sketchy, and they kind of understand that maybe someone tried to bypass Facebook rules. So what I want to do is to ask them on their end to do that, and then Facebook will feel much safer that, okay, this is the guy that was using this Facebook account in the last 5 to 10 years or 2 years, and from the same device he went ahead and he created the business manager. All right, week number 3, this is where you can now use the remote desktop. Everything is good. After he or she created the business manager and the Facebook page, you can start like doing stuff as normal. You want to start creating your content for the Facebook page, whether it's a profile image, cover image, putting out some posts, and getting ready to launch a PPE campaign. So the same rule applies. You want to create a new PPE campaign, you can do something as like $5, $2. I usually go for like page likes. This is something that I forgot to mention. So if you do create a PPE campaign, I go for page likes, because why not? I mean, it's like the most efficient thing, that at least having some likes during this process on your page. So create a PPE campaign. You can run it anywhere between 3 to 5 days, and only after that you can start running a conversion campaign. So this is going to be around week number 4. I do keep my PPE campaign for like $1 a day still active and running, because like why not? You're getting more likes on your page, so it kind of boosts you a little bit the social proof. But this is really up to you. After the 4th or the 5th day, you can actually go ahead and turn it off if you want. Now, what I want to go over right now is actually the most common questions that, I asked myself as well at the beginning, that you might want to ask me right now. So why can't I just create a new account, right? You're saying, okay, I'm using a new remote desktop, new IP address. Why can't I just go and create my own account and that's it? So problem number 1 is going to be that you don't have any past history. So even if you're going to somehow to be able to create a legit new Facebook account, as soon as you will start running ads on this account, you're probably going to get suspended, because Facebook doesn't know you. Most people, that legit people that have Facebook, they have Facebook for years, and you just created a new account out of nowhere and started running ads. So this one is just not an option for you. I mean, you can maybe do that, but it's going to take you like months to build up some credibility and history on your account. So it's a super a long process to actually do something like that. Second thing is no way to verify your ID. So if you're creating a Facebook profile on a fake name, or just whether it's your own personal name, you will not be able to verify it with an ID if Facebook going to ask you that, and most likely at some point they will ask you. So this is just like a way, just without any future with this account. So this is why I also don't recommend that. The third thing is very long process. As I mentioned, it's going to take you months to actually build some history, build some credibility with Facebook, to be even able to run any kind of campaign, even like a PPE campaign. Next thing is, it doesn't work with a remote desktop. So if you think that with a remote desktop you will be able to actually start a new Facebook account without getting banned, I tried that multiple times. Facebook will just immediately going to ban your account, and it's just not going to work. Lastly is that you can't use your own name, which I talked about already. So you cannot use your own name. As soon as you're going to submit your ID, that's it. I mean, either they're going to suspend your account, or they're going to do something that happened to me, that basically I got my personal account suspended for I think around like a year or 2. Yeah, I think it's around like a year, and I was able after that year to actually create a new account. So now I do have a Facebook account, but as soon as I started try to actually advertise, boom, they banned me immediately. So at this point right now I can't advertise, but I still have my personal account. The first time that I got banned, they just banned my personal profile. Like I couldn't even log into Facebook. So nowadays it seems that they're not really doing that. They just like kind of restricting personal profiles from advertising. But what I was trying to say is that because I used, my full name is Alexander, but I used Sasha. This is like kind of my short name. So I just created a Facebook account on that name, and they did ask me for an ID when I tried to run ads. And basically what happened is that all my pages from early 2020 that my first Facebook account was linked to, I found them on my business manager. So what I'm trying to say is that Facebook knows that this is you. You can try to use like a middle name and stuff like that, but Facebook eventually will know that this is you. All right, moving on to the next question is, what if the account was used the same Wi-Fi? So let's say you ask your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend to give you their account, and you are all kind of logged in on the same Wi-Fi. So kind of you basically screwed, right? So it's not necessarily the case. I mean, even if that that's the case, you still want to use a remote desktop to just try to at least give Facebook an option to think that you are not the same person running the ads. I did that once, not using a remote desktop with my girlfriend's account, and her personal profile got banned immediately as well. My recommendation would be just go with a Facebook account of maybe your brother, sister, a friend, someone that is not living with you in the house and not using your Wi-Fi to actually go and log into Facebook. So the same process will apply if you do decide to go with a remote desktop. So just go over the process, the warm-up, all of that, and you should be good at this point. And lastly is, this is kind of a no-go. Let's say your girlfriend is an admin in your business manager, so then you don't do all those steps. You don't create a remote desktop, because then it's basically pointless, because you linked it already directly to your business manager. So Facebook knows for a fact that she's an admin and she can run and manage ads on your account. So at this point, you don't really need a remote desktop. You can just manage, run ads from just her computer or your computer, logging into her Facebook. This is not going to make any difference. Next question is, can I use PayPal as a new payment method? Definitely yes, I do recommend to use PayPal. Just make sure you do link your new card to PayPal. Now the reason why I do recommend PayPal, because you don't really need to put in like the billing address and stuff like that, and you can actually change that on PayPal, your different like information, business information, billing address, and when you're going to link it, it's not going to show up. And another thing why I do like PayPal is that you don't have to just link like card, you can also link a bank account, and a bank account is not really giving any information, not the billing address, not the name. So this is a little bit this is more a way to really give Facebook the least amount of information about you, because with cards you have a little bit more information, the name, billing address, stuff like that. But again, if you're going to use a card, that's totally fine. I don't want to confuse you. Just make sure you use a new card, a new payment method on your PayPal account, something that was never linked to your previous Facebook that got banned. Next thing is, you want to make sure you not use the same email that you had on Facebook that got banned. This way, again, it's not going to link between the accounts. And the last question for now is, what about my billing address? As I mentioned before, if you're going to use PayPal, it's not going to be that big of an issue. But again, if you're going to use your own new credit card, it's still going to be fine. You can use the same billing address. It's going to be totally fine. Now, another thing that I can recommend you, if you do have this option to actually use the Facebook owner's payment information, let's say their credit card or PayPal or something like that, that will be much better. I mean, somebody that wants to build up a little credit score, that can be something that is good for him. Just send him over cash or just bank transfer the money before you start running ads, and basically you're going to be good to go. But if this is not an option, just or use PayPal or a new credit card, use the same billing address or change the billing address. It doesn't matter, it's going to be totally fine. So this is pretty much it, and before I wrap this up, I want to put out a disclaimer. Obviously, this is what I use since early 2020, almost 2 years at this point. This is what works for me. I share with you exactly what I personally do. This is how I run ads till this day, and this is like the most popular question. People ask me like, how do you get to Facebook? How do you still run ads after we got suspended almost 2 years ago? So this is exactly how I'm doing that. If you're going to follow the steps and do everything that I showed you over here, you're going to be fine, and you're going to be able to successfully run not only one account, but you can run, like myself, multiple accounts at the same time. Now, I do recommend you to always try to have like a backup account. If you can get another account, I will highly recommend you just to do the warm-up process, even if you're not going to use it, but already have the warm-up process ready. So when something will happen with the other Facebook account, you already have this one ready to go, and just you can start launching ads immediately. Another thing that I want to mention is that I personally prefer partnerships, as I mentioned before. I mean, if you have the skills, go with partnerships. It's going to be also much more fun to work with someone on your business instead of working with like VAs and stuff like that, because they don't really like give a shit about your business. And working with a partner, this is something like, this is a different experience. They really care about the business, and this is why I like it. And they help you, whether it's the customer service, the maintenance, other stuff. So it's going to be much easier to run and maintain this Shopify business if you do have a partner. And And lastly, what I do want to mention is that I released like a stealth guide about eBay dropshipping before I switched to Shopify in late 2019. So I released a stealth guide called eBay Stealth Guide 2019, and basically this is how I also came up with this strategy for Facebook, because this was working for me on eBay and I was able to create multiple eBay accounts without getting the eBay accounts linked. Now I posted this video and a lot of people started using that, and nowadays you cannot do that anymore, and the strategy that I was teaching back then is not really applicable anymore. But for Facebook it still works. Till this day it still works. So I'm just saying that if too many people are going to use this thing, Facebook might come up with a solution and they kind of be able to block this like option to get back to Facebook. So just keep that in mind. As of right now it works, but somewhere in the future that might not work. All right, this is pretty much it. Let me know if you have any questions about my stealth guide, whether I missed something. I mean, it's a lot of information. It's almost a month process that I tried just to sum it up in this simple slideshow. I hope that you found it valuable. Again, you will have a link to Kamatera to get your 30 days free trial somewhere down below. Again, if it's not going to work for you, you didn't lose anything. All right, thanks again for watching, and until the next video.